A former University of Houston basketball player is among those swept up in a major federal investigation into illegal gambling activities that also involve the NBA, a Hall of Famer, X-ray poker tables, and the mafia. As we'll discuss in a few minutes, it's just one of many gambling-related scandals in recent years. Let's first walk through last week's indictments. Houston Public Media's Michael Adkison joins us. Michael, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Galveston native and former UH and NBA basketball player Damon Jones is one of three defendants who are in both of these cases announced last week. What is he and these others accused of exactly?
Right. So there are essentially two major cases that were unveiled by the FBI last week, as well as prosecutors. There are 34 total defendants indicted across those two cases. One of them is focused on illegal sports betting in the NBA. The other is focused on illegal poker games that have been backed by mafia families. And prosecutors, as you say, they say that Jones is one of just three people involved in both of these cases.
Jones played at UH from 1994 to 97. He spent 11 seasons in the NBA. He's also a former Cleveland Cavaliers assistant coach. But he is also not the only connection to the NBA swept up in this. Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier and Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups, an NBA Hall of Famer, they're involved as well. How?
So Rozier, as you mentioned, is accused of participating in that sports betting scheme. He was using allegedly private insider information about the NBA in order to benefit people who were betting on those games. Specifically, he exited a game on purpose in 2023, according to prosecutors, so that one of the co-conspirators could win a bet. Billups, meanwhile, is charged in a separate indictment that alleged a wide-ranging scheme to run those underground poker games. That's where you bring in, as you mentioned, those X-ray tables that would literally let people see what the cards were as they were faced down, so that way underneath with X-rays you could see, oh, that's the Queen of Hearts, it's the Two of Diamonds, things like that, that allowed people to earn profits off of these fixed poker games.
Yeah, now the poker part's fun, I know, but I don't want to leave the sports betting side behind here. So Rozier's not the only NBA player involved in the sports betting scheme, right?
No, you're correct. And there are 9 unnamed co-conspirators. 2 of them are former NBA players. One of them is an NBA coach.
How did the sports betting scheme allegedly work?
So as we mentioned, that they were using private inside information. It's almost like insider trading, but for sports betting, that Rozier and Jones used access to the NBA, be it their colleagues, their friends, to know exactly what was going to happen with certain games. If a certain player isn't performing as well, they would give that information allegedly to their co-conspirators in order to earn a profit in illegal sports betting. That includes, as we mentioned, exiting a game, individual player performances, and they would use that information to benefit their colleagues.
Okay, now back to this illegal poker scheme and the X-rays. How did all of this work?
So it almost reads like, as you mentioned, a mafia story or a detective story. So they used this high-tech equipment in order to quite literally, monitor and fix these poker games. But more than that, the role that Billups and Jones played was that they would entice people to play poker by having someone like Jones, who's a high-profile figure, and say, "Hey, do you want to play against a former NBA player? Well, do you want to play poker against an NBA coach?" Things like that to entice people to play. But little did those people know that these games were allegedly fixed from the start, so that there was no way that they were going to earn money. So they used those X-ray tables and hidden cameras to see what the cards were on the table, and essentially everyone else on the table was in on it except for the player.
And we're talking about tens of millions of dollars potentially here. Authorities are saying a New York-based crime family provided protection and financial management for all of this. How does the FBI think the money was hid here?
So essentially, they have said that this money was laundered by these people, be they the NBA players or any other co-defendants, that they have laundered this money in order to hide it.
And laundering it through, among other things, cryptocurrency.
Exactly.
Not a surprise there. Houston Public Media's Michael Adkison. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bleav in Astros podcast co-host Jeff Balke joins us now. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning, Craig.
Okay, on Friday, the Athletics' Alex Andreev reviewed 20 incidents of gambling-related scandals, suspensions, bans, firings, arrests, and convictions in the sports world since just 2018. That is after a Supreme Court decision opened the door to widespread legalization of sports betting. Just how widespread is all this?
Very. I mean, listen, if you go back to the 1970s and 80s, there was a guy, Jimmy the Greek, that used to come on football games beforehand. He was a betting expert. He was not allowed to talk about betting lines. He was not allowed to talk about point spreads, anything like that. Just a decade ago, Tony Romo was told by the NFL that he was not allowed to speak at a fantasy sports convention because it was too close to betting. Now, during games, they are showing live odds of what is happening. And the most pervasive of this are the prop bets, which they used to be silly bets like, bet the over or under on how long the national anthem would go during the Super Bowl, right? Now they have prop bets on everything. How many rebounds in a quarter? Who will be the next person to score? Live betting while you're in your seat at a game. And some of these bets that you've seen that have just sort of spiraled out of control are these bets like what happened with Terry Rozier, where he basically pulled himself out of a game. So instead of playing, the over-under on his playing time was 12 and a half minutes, so he pulled himself out at 12 minutes. So everybody who took the under won their bets. Those prop bets have become such a pervasive part of the sports, of all sports, and to make matters worse, all of the sports leagues are in bed with them because they all take sponsorship deals, FanDuel and BetGM and all of those different places. So it's just a massive, massive deal for all of these sports leagues that they're not going to be able to extricate themselves because of the billions of dollars.
I was just going to say, there's so much money involved in this.
Yes.
Is there any way to refine, to limit to a degree how many different kinds of things people bet on? Maybe just limiting it to the results of games, which is not that right. Wouldn't create its own problems. You can go back to the Black Sox scandal, 1919, to find problems with that.
And point shaving has been a thing that's been happening, especially in college sports, for decades. Adam Silver, the head of the NBA, said that he wants to have conversations with their sports betting partners about taking fewer prop bets. Prop bets, I think, are the biggest. I think they're the malignancy in all of this in terms of the spread of because they're so easy, right? If you're watching a game and a little thing pops up from FanDuel or whatever and says, hey, drop $5 on who will be the next person to hit a three-pointer. And if you nail it, then you win $100 or whatever it is. And so they're so easy, and they've gamified it to such a degree that it makes people enjoy the sport more because they're involved in it.
Does it make people enjoy the sport more? I almost take issue with that because I got to tell you, as somebody who doesn't bet, mm-hmm. I enjoy them quite a bit less because this stuff's all over my screen, and I just want to focus on the game.
Well, I think people who bet, maybe enjoy is the wrong word. I think they're more invested, sometimes literally, in the outcomes of every moment of the game. And listen, that's what sports want. Sport leagues want you to be so invested in every second of every game that you never turn your head away, because then you'll watch all of the advertising, you'll spend money on any of the things that they bring up. It's what they want. They want those eyeballs, and they want you focused. And one of the best ways to do that is put your literal money on the line for it.
We've also heard from players and coaches and others talking about getting death threats because some specific something in one game didn't work the way they wanted, and some fan out there lost a bunch of money and starts making threats online.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, social media has amplified all of this too, so there's more to it than just the betting. But yeah, I mean, listen, every fan gets mad if their team loses, or if a player that's playing on your team doesn't do well, or something happens. And we all know about fan is short for fanatic for a reason. We all know about people who've gotten upset or crazy or yelled epithets at people. It's been happening for years. But when you now start to add financial impacts on this to individual people, yeah, of course, they're going to get even. And listen, gambling is an addiction. And so when you have that problem, it's just going to magnify that in every aspect of the way, and then add in social media and forget it.
So is anything going to come out of this?
Unlikely. I think, look, these sports leagues are in bed with these gambling associations. They can't just pull the plug on it and say, listen, we're going to give up these billions of dollars. And the sports books are, now, especially you said after the Supreme Court ruling allowing sports betting, they're not going away anytime soon. People who bet on these things, they're not going to stop betting on it. I think this is an instance where policing it has to get better. I think it's especially policing it amongst the league. Look, one of the unindicted co-conspirators with the point, with all the issues with betting on games is likely Chauncey Billups, right? So you're talking about a head coach who might be providing information to people so they can, win their game, so they can win their bets and make more money. If it's happening with coaches, right, and it's got to happen with, there's definitely some marquee players that got to be involved. That's a huge problem.
Jeff Balke co-hosts the Bleav in Astros podcast. He also writes for the Houston Press. Jeff, thank you.
Thank you, Craig.